Today, I want to talk about one of my favorite songs from one of my favorite composers. We have the Sicilian Clan, which is a soundtrack by Ennio Morricone, the Italian film composer who's composed like 400 film scores. It's insane. But the thing about Morricone is he's so sophisticated, but he does it in a very simple way. And the elegance of his simplicity is hard to match, and sometimes he just comes up with stuff that is so painfully obvious that you can't believe you didn't think of it yourself. This song is called the Sicilian Clan. It contains a really unique minor kind of chord progression that does some very interesting things that I'll go through, and it's got a really amazing just instrumentation, the instruments they decide on, like the drums, the bass, the sort of picking surf guitar, a clarinet, string section. That's most of it. There might be one or two more things. Wow, it's so good. In my own music, I'm oftentimes guilty of things being too complex, so he is just this reminder of the simplicity that you should be striving for. It's so amazingly, painfully obvious that it feels like the universe is crying out his melodies. But anyway, let's get into this Sicilian Clan. It's in A minor. And it does like a 1 to 5 in A minor, so let's just assume that means we're in A minor. Relative major would be C major, but we're in the A minor. We've got A minor, and then on the second half of the bar we go E7, which is 5 of A minor, and we immediately go to a 4-5 in D minor. But I've told a rule before that is any minor 2-5 or 4-5 can resolve to major, and vice versa. Any major 4-5 can resolve to minor. So anytime you think you're doing the obvious thing, like a 4-5 in minor, G minor 6, that's a good chord for a 4 in minor, to an A7 flat 9. Let's remember that just means a dominant 7 chord with a flat 9, which is a half step above the root. So it essentially makes a diminished chord with A in the bass, is the way I think of a flat 9 chord. It's a diminished chord with A in the bass. So we start in A minor, and let's actually listen to a little bit of his. It starts really ambient with it's like a piano through this amazing sounding reverb. Listen to that. Okay, for all you producers out there, listen to that piano sound. How many of you would just put some BS MIDI sound or a bad, poorly mic'd stand-up piano? Listen to the sound of this piano and this reverb that these producers have decided to use. It has a really amazing depth of sound. Okay. Is that clarinet? I think so. Or could like an English horn or oboe? No, I feel embarrassed that I can't figure out that sound. I'm going to just say clarinet. There's some other ambient. Yeah, I'm not going to go into a rant of how recordings sounded better, but geez, listen to that. Tell me one of your songs has that depth of sound, just with that little reverb of a piano hitting one note and a clarinet or an oboe or whatever that is, and then... Are you kidding me? It's this melody here. See that lower melody here on the staff? Oh, something's different there. There it is. Then it does a little vamp, I think, right on this A minor. Okay, let's stop. Okay, the intro was so sparse, it was so simple, yet like I said, the tones carried it through. The reverb had this amazing quality to it, and in those days they were either using... I'm not sure what the Italian stuff was in the same way that I know a little bit about the Wall of Sound and Brian Wilson. They must have been using either some kind of plate reverb or an echo chamber or a combination of the two, who knows. But they took a very simple idea and made it sound very elegant. And there's 2 versions of the song, by the way, that are completely different. So just listen to this. But it's a cool chord progression, too. We've got we've got A minor and then the 5 of A minor, but it doesn't come on the downbeat. It comes on the 3/4. And that's an interesting idea if you just think about it. But we have A minor and then it's 5 on the second half of the bar. And then we go to a 4/5 in D minor. But they take that rule that anytime you have a 4/5 or a 2/5, you don't have to resolve to the major or the minor. You can just resolve to either one. But it does a clear 4/5 in D minor, which would be G minor 6, A7 flat 9, and instead of going to minor, it goes to major, because that's the rule. You can do whatever you want. And then uses that as an excuse to do the band, the major to minor. And on the second half of the bar, of course, you see that D minor. Then when you go to the dominant, just the 5 of A minor, you have a 5 there, but you can flat the 5 of that. You can go E7 to E7 flat 5. Then we're back in A minor. Don't forget about good old 2 dominant, B7 flat 9 over D sharp, which is a fancy way to say D sharp diminished. The reason I say B7 flat 9 over D sharp is because it's functioning as a 2 dominant in A minor. And if I just wrote D sharp diminished 7, you wouldn't get that as much as a B7 flat 9 over D sharp. Then we go to that E7 again and flat the 5. Instead of resolving to A minor, they resolve to A major. That's crazy because we'd already done that with the D, remember? We were supposed to resolve to D minor, we resolved to D major. Here, we're clearly going back into that A minor, but out of nowhere, we go to A major and then make that minor on the downbeat, not the second half this time, and then 5 of A minor. So we're pretty much in A minor, right? 1/5. Then we do a 4/5 in D minor. Decide we don't want to resolve to D minor. We want to resolve to D major. Then let's just make that minor, that little emotional pull of... And then go back to the 5 of A minor with the flat 5. Then A minor, 2 dominant, B7 flat 9 over D sharp to 5. Flat the 5 again, and absolutely brilliant that this whole time we've been in A minor, right? We've been in A minor the whole time. Suddenly you're going to resolve to A major and then do that same make it minor. Then just right back to the 5 of A minor and then A minor. Let's listen to that real quick. One more time. All right, we've got A minor. Just a vamp. Four or 5 in D minor, but go to major. But turn that minor. Then the 5 of A minor. A minor. 2 dominant. 5. Finally, A major out of nowhere. Make that minor. I'm telling you, Morricone's got stuff that... If any of you have a chord progression that good, send it in to me and I'll compare it side by side. None of us do. Then we do this whole cycle. 4/5 in D minor, but make it major. Then make it minor. Emotional pull. 5 of A minor. 2 dominant. There it is. 5. Major out of nowhere. Okay, there's the first time through. You could almost call that the A section. I hate having to advertise to you, so let me make this quick. I could really use your help to grow this channel. Between my full-time job as an ER nurse and being a husband and father of 2 kids, it's very hard for me to find the time to make content for this channel. Many of my videos take 10 or 20 hours to create. For those of you who are really getting a lot out of my lessons, here is how you can help me out. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel and that the notification bell is set to all notifications for my channel. I think only 10% of you have that clicked now. You can watch more of my videos by browsing through the playlist section of my channel to find the videos that most interest you. But the very best way you can help me is to subscribe to my Patreon music school called High Castle Conservatory. YouTube pays me about 1 cent per view, but on Patreon you can decide to give me $3.50 a month, or $7, or $15, or more, whatever you feel you're getting out of my lessons. The more support that I get on Patreon, the more time I have to devote to making unique music education content for you. At this point, I have not abbreviated my videos here on YouTube or put my full videos behind a paywall, and by joining my Patreon, you help me in the most direct way possible. If you have found yourself really enjoying my lessons, then please come join High Castle Conservatory on Patreon. Lastly, please consider buying my original music projects I.S.S. and High Castle Tele Orchestra on Bandcamp. You can find the details and links in the description below. Now let's get back to that lesson. So it does this A section, and then it's about to repeat it one more time. So the intro was pretty much this A section, like kind of slow and with that single piano note and the reverb and everything. And then it went with the band, the drums, and the little picked bass, boom, 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 which is really simple. Then the surf guitar. Then it gets to the end of it, and it just does it again, and it adds this counter melody it had hinted at the beginning, which is this little secondary line on the bottom. Here's the top melody, the arpeggiated part, and then here's the bottom melody, which is this long thing that holds over the bars sometime and adds this plasticity to it, and it's one of those brilliant, simple Morricone parts. But let's listen to that. Let's try it and listen to that lower line, and it's very simple on top of that arpeggiated part. But listen to what it adds in this sense of plasticity. Where do we go from there? Oh, where do we go? This expansiveness. Wow. So the strings come in. So he'd already done this ambient intro, then one time through with the band, and then a second time through with the band where this under melody comes through. Now those were kind of the A section reiterated 3 times. Where do we go from here as the composer? From this A section 3 times to the B section. Okay, this is not hard. Morricone, simple. Morricone, simple. A. Now B. And what is B? Is it something different? Something totally like a new... No, it's not at all. He takes this and essentially elongates it, but it's maybe slightly different. But, take these quick moving chords of this first A section, and he's going to elongate it with the strings coming out to make also this sound of elongation. It's even doing a different bass tone. I think it's got B in it. Yeah, it does the B right there. I didn't write it as that because I think the bass player was just riffing on it. I doubt Morricone forced the guy to a B, but it just made sense. Just listen to this, how this chord progression relates to the first chord progression, but just makes everything longer and more drawn out and adds this beautiful sense of lengthening. Here's that B. Actually, let me take it just a little before. Here we go. Here's the B section. Listen to that. 2 whole bars of E7. Now to that 4/5 in D minor, right? Long. It's long. Everything is long. It's beautiful. Then instead of D minor, we resolve to D major. Same thing, right? But long. D minor. Now that 5. E7 flat 9. G sharp to E7. Then we resolve to A minor. And the 2 dominant. Long 2 dominant though, right? And then, most composers will probably be like, all right, cool, let's go back to A. Let's repeat the form. He's like, F no. We're going back to B. This one. Gonna keep that long, and that band is just really smooth on that sort of bossa type of groove, or whatever you want to call it. The strings went up an octave there. Amazing chord progression. Tell me that's not unbelievable. Let's go back to that A minor. He doesn't resolve to A major like it does in the first section, the A section. Yeah, pretty unbelievable. I think most of us will agree. And if not, you're probably hitting unsubscribe right now. So yeah, Morricone, the levels of simplicity there is simplicity of instrumentation. There's not too many instruments. And the way the string section just kind of comes in at the low octave. And then the next time it goes up one octave, and then finally to this epic thing. It's a very natural progression that feels like it's building on top of something instead of just some random new part. A minor, E7, which is 5, then a 4-5 in D minor. Sorry, and a 4-5 in D minor. But resolve to major instead, D major, then minor. And go back to 5 in A minor. Back to A minor, 2 dominant. 5 of A minor. But go to A major instead. Remember, you can always go to the other one. If you're in major resolving, you can resolve to minor. If you're in minor resolving, you can resolve to major. Or if you're in minor, you can resolve to minor. You can do whatever you want. And then first time it's gone to A, though, and then it makes that minor and goes 5-1 in A minor. Then after that, it goes to this B section. I didn't write B, but as it elongates, that minor keys. Minor keys for you composers out there get real generic. Major keys, I feel, offer a bit more diversity in certain ways, where a lot of people get stuck in the usual harmonic tropes of minor that are not very interesting. I've pointed out how Kurt Weill is kind of like the minor key Brian Wilson, where he comes up with some really interesting minor key inventions that are new. This is the same thing. This Sicilian Clan by Morricone is anything but the typical minor. This multiple go major to minor in different aspects of the key is unbelievable. It almost makes you think this is one of those, 4-4 minor in some major key. Like, is it an A major? Because this D is 4-4 minor in A major. Or could this A be 4? That would be E major then. But I can't really call this song an E major because these E7s all lead to A minor. So this is an A minor, but it makes a little adventure outside of A minor, but related to it. It's not really, nothing feels like a key change. Nothing in this song feels like a modulation. Let's listen together one more time. Can I point it out one more time? The sound of that piano. So if you're a producer out there, tell me your piano hitting one note sounds that good. Send it in, I'll listen. I don't think so. I don't have a piano on any one of my recordings in 30 years that sounds that amazing. Starts right here. Okay, then they'll vamp on this A here. Let's go to that A section again. Let's repeat that A for the third time. Oh, the counter melody. Stuff that goes over the bar line is good. Then it goes to the B section here, lengthens everything. everything gets longer in slow motion. Turn it minor to get emotion. So Morricone's going to take it up a notch, strings up an octave. There's no other way. And that piano that we heard at the beginning that sounds so good is with the strings, just in unison. And that guitar is still plucking away. You hear how simple this is, right? The chords are so beautiful. So we've done a couple of the B sections here. 2 dominant, 5 in A minor, now what's he gonna do? Again, more epic even. I think the strings are at the highest octave they can do. And not much new came in, but there's some kind of long string sounds too, as well as the melody. D major. Turn it minor. Why not? Turn it minor. You can turn any major minor. 5 of A minor. Dominant. Yeah, I hope some of you got some value out of this lesson. These chords are beautiful. These chords are simple. These chords make sense. They don't sound like they're changing keys. They're just perfect. And Morricone is like a painter on a canvas, and he shows all of us musicians that tend toward complicated progressive music that there's probably a simpler way. There's probably a way to express more by doing less. We always say that cliche. It's not always the case. It's really important to explore layered, complex ideas, but you should always be able to carry something back to its root, its source, and understand what is the simplest iteration of this idea. I don't think any composer has taught me more about that than Ennio Morricone. Thanks a lot for watching this video and taking an interest in my channel. Please help me reach a larger audience by hitting subscribe below and ringing the notification bell. Check out my video playlist page to find the categories that most interest you. Leave me a super thanks here on YouTube, and even better, come join my Patreon. Please consider buying music for my original projects I.S.S. and High Castle Teleorchestra. Also, don't forget to sign up for my email list on the front page of timsmolens.com. You can find information about all of those things in the description below. Thanks again.